Okay, let's get started. Welcome everyone to today's Business Leadership Series webinar brought to you by USPAC and our leading sponsor, Wells Fargo. Today, the session title is Doing Business with Corporate America. And we brought two speakers today to talk about Fortune corporations, their commitment to diversity and inclusion, and the culture of their business. This opportunity doesn't come along often, so we're hoping that you gain some useful insights and learn more about how to work with the PGA of America and Wyndham worldwide. The first speaker will be Sandy Cross, Senior Director of Diversity and Inclusion of PGA of America. And our second speaker will be Itu Otu, Supplier Diversity Manager at Wyndham Worldwide. We encourage you to type in questions to the chat box for the end of the session to ask the presenters. And feel free to type in any other questions along the way. What we'll hear today is more about the procurement structure and processes, the do's and don'ts while seeking to do business. Supplier. These are important questions to know because the world of corporations and big business is complex, and it'll give you a leg up on the competition if you're well prepared and ready to take your opportunity. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to Sandy to start her presentation. Sandy, are you there?
I am. Thank you very much, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm looking forward to our time together today and providing a little bit of an overview of the PGA of America as well as our supplier diversity and purchasing initiatives. So we'll dive right into who the PGA of America is. I will say that we are very, very often confused with the PGA Tour, and we are actually a wholly separate organization. We are the world's largest working sports organization. We're actually 100 years old. We just celebrated our centennial this year. And again, we're wholly separate from the PGA Tour. We're separate from the LPGA and the USGA. And the core of our business is we are a professional trade association. We have 28,000 men and women professionals. These are golf professionals that we have accredited to teach the game and manage the business of golf. So these individuals have elected a career in the business of golf. Yes, they are great players in their own right, and they do have to pass our playing ability test to enter our curriculum, but they are on a daily basis teaching the game and managing the business of golf at about 10,000 golf facilities nationwide. And this is after they have completed a 4.5-year curriculum called PGA Golf Management, which we deliver through 19 universities around America. And once an individual is accredited as a PGA professional, they have to maintain that accreditation on a continuing education cycle. But again, these PGA professionals are employed at about 10,000 golf facilities around the country. We don't own or operate those golf facilities, and the PGA professionals are not employed by us, but we are their professional trade association. Again, their accrediting body, similar to a CPA or an American Bar Association. And they're managing the business of golf on a daily basis. And golf in America is actually a $68 billion a year industry on an annual basis. But moving on to the next slide, our mission as a professional trade association is to serve our members, those 28,000 men and women, and to grow participation in the game of golf, which will help ensure the livelihood for our PGA professionals. On the next slide, you'll see that we are broken geographically into 41 sections. So there's 41 section offices around the country, and you'll see a snapshot there of the map. The office boundaries don't necessarily follow state lines, but these are offices that administer the promotion of our grassroots activities nationwide in conjunction with our PGA professionals. There really are boots on the ground in local communities. But similar to our PGA members and the facilities out there, we don't own the section offices. They are wholly separate entities, but they do a lot of that local market heavy lifting for us. Now, moving ahead from a championships perspective on the next slide, while we are a professional trade association and we exist to serve our members, we do own and operate some major championships. Most notably, you'll see here the Ryder Cup, which is held every 4 years in this country, and it alternates between Europe and the United States. So this year, 2 months ago, we had the Ryder Cup in Minneapolis, and in 2 years from now, it will be in Paris before it comes back over to the States in Wisconsin. Every year in August, we host the PGA Championship. Charlotte next year is our site for August 2017. We also own and operate the Senior PGA Championship, which is the oldest major championship in senior golf. And then also new to our portfolio, just 2 years old now, is the KPMG Women's PGA Championship. So those championships and the broadcast rights fees that are generated from those championships, that's where the revenue is generated within the PGA of America to sustain the membership side of our association. Now moving ahead into more of the purchasing activities and supplier diversity activities that we're here to discuss today. The purchasing at the PGA of America occurs at the department level. Each department within the association has a department-specific budget, and decisions are being made at a departmental level. However, earlier this year, we did onboard a brand new purchasing manager on our national staff, and she is shoring up a lot of our purchasing practices, shoring up our supplier profiles, all of our inclusive bidding protocols. You know, we've really been very early on in our supplier diversity journey. We're really a bit green to the space, but with our new purchasing manager, who comes from a great background and experience, she's really helping us to get much more contemporary. We're also implementing some additional best practices now that she's on board, tracking our Tier 1 and Tier 2 spend, which we had not previously been doing, and also looking to set up an external-facing web presence. So companies that are interested in doing business with us can research that information online and enter into a portal to become in the consideration set. Moving on to the next slide, you'll see I've outlined our championships initiative. So with our major championships that I just outlined, those 4 major properties, we do have a portfolio of about 12 to 15 prime suppliers that make our championships tick, if you will. So security, concessions and catering, hospitality, decor, transportation, many of those categories we have prime suppliers in that help power the championships. But we just launched last month a Tier 2 supplier diversity initiative with those prime suppliers. And the first event of focus is the 2017 PGA Championship in Charlotte, North Carolina. So last month we held a diverse business opportunity exchange with some of those prime suppliers. We had 18 categories that our primes expressed interest in, where they wanted us to bring Tier 2 candidates forth. We were very fortunate with our new relationships with USPAC, MMSDC, NGLCC, ASER, and a number of local chambers and other affiliates to get the word out about these 18 categories and invite certified prospective Tier 2 companies to attend this exchange, which was essentially a matchmaking event that we hosted at Quail Hollow. So that took place. It was very successful, and we're hoping to do another one in March of 2017, again for the PGA Championship. So we're excited about kicking that off, and our primes really embraced it, and the the matches are starting to be made for next calendar year. So we're excited about that. We're also working with an organization called CVM Solutions to track that Tier 2 spend as we go forward into 17, which is something that we had not previously been doing. So that should provide some great insights. Moving on to the next slide, in terms of positioning your business to do business with the PGA of America from an internal standpoint and or externally in the golf industry at large, I've outlined here some important steps that you should take to better position yourself in the consideration set again with the PGA of America and or externally in the golf industry at large. Since we don't have an external portal online available yet, please feel free to provide me with your full contact information and a summary of your capabilities, your products and services that your firm offers, and I will include you in our internal database, which I use as a resource with my colleagues. So again, as I mentioned, when things are being purchased at the department level, I'm able to work with my colleagues to access that database and help them identify firms to include in the bid process. Also, we do really look for certified suppliers, so we encourage you to secure and maintain your accreditation, whether it's minority-owned, woman-owned, LGBT-owned, etc., be it national or local. We do really like to see those certifications in place. In addition, I wanted to make sure that I shared, we do leverage, as mentioned, a lot of these strategic alliances that we've entered into. Again, US PAC, NMSDC, etc., as our primary communication channel. So for example, when we put together the Diverse Business Opportunity Exchange last month at Quail Hollow in Charlotte, the primary way that we got the word out to prospective suppliers was through those strategic alliances. So we encourage you to consider membership in those if you're not already participating. And then also, I would encourage you at the local level to present your capabilities to any or all of the PGA section offices. Again, those 41 PGA section offices around the country, they are procuring goods and services to conduct their golf business at the local level. Unfortunately, there's not a one-stop shop, and you would have to approach them individually. They do make their purchase decisions on an individual basis. There is a roster of them listed on PGA.com. If you go to the bottom of the main home page, you will find an overview of the PGA of America and the PGA section offices, including their contact information. So feel free to consider that. Now, from a broader golf industry perspective, again, as I mentioned, golf is a $68 billion a year industry in this country alone. The 10,000 golf facilities in America that I mentioned earlier, they are all different facility types, and they do have different purchasing practices. So whether it's a private golf club, semi-private, daily fee, municipal owned by a city, county, government, etc., it may be a resort. There are military bases and universities that have golf courses on them, and there's also golf ranges. So it can be a little bit daunting as you think about the landscape, no pun intended, of golf and all of the different facility types, because purchase decisions are made differently based on the facility type. So if that's something you're interested in, maybe consider one or more facility types to really kind of dive into and understand their purchasing practices. And let's see. Also, I wanted to make sure I mentioned there are a number of golf management companies in America. You may have heard of some of them, such as Club Core, Troon Golf, American Golf. These are companies that own a portfolio or own and operate a portfolio of golf facilities. There might be a dozen, or some of the larger management companies own and operate hundreds of golf facilities. You may be interested in kind of looking at the top 10 list of golf management companies and coordinating a meeting with them, again, to present your capabilities. And you can find that list if you search or Google Golf Inc.'s management company directory. You'll find that online, and might be an interesting starting point if you want to kind of move into the golf management company space. So with that, I'd love to take maybe a couple of questions.
Great. Thank you, Sandy. And again, anyone in the audience, please feel free to write in your questions. But I'll start with a question. And I just wanted to get your opinion on, working with the PGA of America, and if you look for partners who have had experience with sporting events or sporting organizations, or if you have, a profile of a company you've worked with, recently that started small and maybe picked up some additional contracts along the way?
That's a great question. It certainly bodes well when a company has some experience in sports and or entertainment, or I guess I would call it outdoor experience. And the reason I say outdoor experience is golf championships are very much temporary. Yes, the country club itself or the golf facility itself is a permanent structure, but essentially our team comes into that market 2 to 3 years prior to a championship, and we set up the infrastructure to run that championship. So basically, we're building a city from the ground up on the grounds of that golf course. Hospitality structures, media center, all of the things that we need to power that championship. And then we're also working with the local community, government officials, transportation. We recruit, I would say, anywhere from 3,000 to 4,000 volunteers for a championship. So there's a significant amount of legwork that goes into, again, kind of building this city. And it's a very much a temporary outdoor experience. So if prospects have experience in those type of outdoor builds, I do think that is valuable. And then the second part of your question, we absolutely have some organizations that we deal with now, some key suppliers that started out with us years ago on a very small level and have grown into become prime suppliers. Two that are very notable that come to mind for me. One is called the Convention Store, and they are a woman-owned business, and they do all of our transportation for the championships, shuttling people around the city, not only players, but VIPs, dignitaries, you know, anything from a small sedan or a mini coach to a full-fledged motor coach. And it's been exciting to watch them grow over the years and really become an instrumental part of our championship operations. And then similarly, from a decor standpoint, we have a story with Barton GW Design, BGW Design. Started out in a small way with us doing decor in our different hospitality venues, the hospitality chalets that corporate clients purchase. And they have grown together with us over the years, and those are both probably now multi-decade partnerships that we've had. So really exciting to see those, you know, come together and be such an important part of our business.
Yeah, that's a great example to share. One question I had, it says in the slide that you want to present your capabilities to yourself and some of the section offices. Is there a place on the web where some of the businesses can look at some of the opportunities that are available, or is it the best route to, you know, get in touch with you and some of the offices and provide a complete capability summary and what you can get engaged in?
Yeah, that's another great question, and unfortunately, I probably should have included that today. While it's not available on the web, I do have a sample of a typical chart of accounts that a local golf facility would use for budgeting purposes, and I'd be happy to share that with anyone that, you know, reaches out to me through the email address to give you a sense of what a typical there probably isn't a typical golf facility, but what an average golf facility is procuring on a regular basis. So I'd be happy to share that chart of accounts through email. And then I could get a similar one for a section office. And I will say that the section offices vary greatly in size and scope. For example, some of the smallest section offices are up in New York State. There's the Western New York section, the Central New York section, the Northeastern New York section, very tiny offices. There might be 2 people per each. And then on the other end of the continuum, the largest offices would be the Carolinas section, the Southern California section, Northern Texas. Those have much larger staffs, much larger programming and operational deliverables, so they're doing greater amounts of procurement.
Okay, and we'll encourage everyone to maybe go to the BLS website afterwards, and maybe we can post that that document there for them to look at. And then in the interim, like you said, encourage them to look at golf facilities or sections that have capabilities that they look for. The last thing before I transition over to E2, how many expected participants do you have at each championship, and what should businesses be thinking about in terms of the number of people served?
That's a great question. Spectators at a PGA championship, so the event runs for a week, typically Monday through Sunday. Spectators are about 30 to 35,000 per day for a PGA championship. The Ryder Cup gets closer to 50,000. The Senior PGA Championship and the Women's PGA Championship are much smaller. You might see, 50% of that crowd that you would see at a PGA Championship or a Ryder Cup.
Wow, so a lot of people and a lot of opportunities for the businesses that are listening today, so that's excellent. If you can stay on the line, Sandy, we'll take some more questions at the end, but I wanted to, at this time, turn it over to E2 from Wyndham Worldwide. E2, are you on the line?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you well.
Fantastic.
So without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to you to talk a little bit about diverse supplier activities at Wyndham and navigating corporate America.
Great. Thank you very much, Mike. My name is E202. I am the Senior Manager for Supplier Diversity here at Wyndham. A little bit of information about Wyndham. It's one of the world's largest hospitality companies across 6 continents. We offer individual consumers and business customers a broad array of hospitality products and services, as well as various accommodation alternatives and price ranges through our premier portfolio of world-renowned brands. Today I'm going to talk to you guys about navigating corporate America. Can you go to the next page? Yeah, we've talked a little bit about Wyndham Worldwide. It's the largest hospitality company. Go ahead, next please. This is the way we are set up. For people that want to know the operation, this is how we are set up. We have the worldwide corporate, and underneath the corporate we have the hotel group. The hotel group consists of about 7,800 hotels. And the vacation, as you can see, we have presence in about 100 countries in 6 continents. And then we have the vacation ownership that covers about 200 vacation resorts worldwide and the Caribbean. Next. Now, for some of you, you may be staying at some of our properties and you don't know it belongs to us. The hotel group, we have hotels like the Wyndham Grand, Dolce, Wingate, Trip, Ramada, Days Inn, Baymont, and so on and so forth. These are all of our portfolios out there, including the timeshares, and we have some timeshare development properties out there too. We are the leader. In some of these categories. Next. Can you advance that, please? Michael? Can, but he's not advancing it. The screen seems to be frozen. Oh, there you go.
Sorry, E2, I got it.
Okay, thank you. So once again, this is about how we conduct supplier diversity here at Wyndham. It's a business imperative. It's something that we believe in, and that's why we grant every business opportunity equal access to a strategic sourcing activity here at Wyndham. It's an integral part of our process. It's one of our key values. We provide mentoring opportunity to those suppliers that need some. And then also we have a very robust outreach activity, which I'm going to talk about later on with you all. Next. Now, this is what we call the pillars of our supplier diversity at Wyndham. We have top management support. We have a top-notch strategic sourcing management team. We have a proactive approach to supplier diversity. We have a governing council that consists of all the business unit managers who help us in making some decisions regarding supplier diversity. We have some serious relationship building capability and also a very dynamic business outreach program. These are the foundations, these are the pillars of our program. As you will see, based on what we've achieved over the years, Diversity Inc. ranked us as one of the top 10 supplier diversity programs in the nation. Next. Now, getting down to the basics. I go to these programs, NMSDC, US PAC, WeBank, NABHood, and so on and so forth, all the advocacy programs in the country. I do attend. And one of the mistakes suppliers do is that they think that on the first day they're going to have, or they're going to get a contract with companies. It doesn't happen like that. You know, sometimes, you know, they come up with so many brochures, so many documents. It helps out only if you have a sit-down opportunity with one of the supplier diversity professionals. So I'm going to share some tips with you. Always have a one-pager, no more than one page, as an introductory document when meeting supplier diversity professionals. And on this one-page document, you may want to list things that you would do differently, some things that would catch the attention of the supplier diversity professional. Have a value add proposition. What are you going to bring? What do you think? What are your strengths? What are your core businesses? Talking to supplier diversity professional about multitude of businesses that you do actually distracts from your capability. You want to go with your strength. You know, have a business plan. I don't know how many folks in business today that have a business plan. And I always ask diverse suppliers this question: what is your 1 year and your 5-year plan? And to my surprise, a lot of them don't have it. They share with you the mission, the vision, and that's all they present to us. We need a business plan so that when we sit down to talk to some of the strategic sourcing folks here at Wyndham, they know you are serious. They can help you get to your destination. Know your capabilities. A lot of folks, you know, they come to us and they say, oh, we can do this. Well, sure you can do it. But do you have the capability, the capacity, and the financial wherewithal to do it? We don't want to be in a position where we give you something to do and it sinks you. That is not the objective. So, well, I hate to say this because sometimes, you know, it's happened. I always ask diverse suppliers to always cut their coats according to their size. Do not bite any more than you can chew, because when that happens, you actually cause more harm to the program than good. Know your capability. It's very important. Do not oversell yourself. It's going to come back and bite you. Target companies that are the best fit for you. Do not go with the shotgun approach. Shotgun approach doesn't work, because a lot of companies like ours, we're looking for an organization that has been in the business for a little while, that knows exactly what they're doing and has some experience in the hospitality business. It's very important that you find that fit or that niche, you might say. And then finally, this is very important. I think I alluded to it at the beginning of my speech. Be patient. things do not happen overnight. Stay in touch. When you come across diverse supplier professionals out there, stay in touch with them. It might take a while. I'll give you a very good example. There is a supplier that we've been working with. We've known about this supplier for about 3 years now. And they've been in touch. You know, they call occasionally, like maybe once a month or so on and so forth. And it was just recently that an opportunity came up, and they got a multi-million-dollar business from us, which was fantastic. And the method adopted was, you know, we met them, we knew about them. They did not hound us with too many phone calls. All they did was stay in touch and updated us every 6 months or so with new capabilities that they have. And with this capability, it did match a particular need of ours, which was a win-win situation. So be patient. It will not happen overnight. Next, please. And also, this is my favorite page here. You know, it's a balancing act. Trust me, we've been doing this for a long time. We know some of your frustrations. We really do know your frustrations, and we're here to help. One of the things you have to do as a diverse supplier, I think the first speaker alluded to it, you have to understand the corporation you're working with. You have to understand the culture. You have to understand the procurement culture there. It's imperative. You ought to know if they're going strategic, if they're going, I mean, there's so many multiple, you know, configurations in organizations that you need to understand. And that's why you have to kind of walk through us, the supplier diversity professionals, because we understand our organization. We know how to help you get to who you need to speak with. You have to also make yourself available or subscribe to some industry magazines. One of the things suppliers say to me each time we meet is, how do I understand what you guys need if I don't know anybody in the organization? That's true. But at the same time, there are so many industry magazines out there that you can subscribe to learn what is happening in the industry. That way you can formulate some kind of value or innovation to help solve that problem. I mean, once you come to one of us and say, listen, I know you're having this problem in your industry and have a solution, trust me, you get very quickly to the, you know, front of the line, because everybody wants to be the first to get to the market with new innovations. So always arm yourself with something new and innovative to say or introduce to us. The other thing is to understand the corporation pain points. I just mentioned it. Once you understand the corporation's pain point, you are ahead of the game. Leverage it, milk it, you know, be the first to get into supplier diversity professionals. Connect, the next one is connect with your client at the right level. Very important. If you have access to somebody in a company that can help you, who is strategically placed in a position to help your business grow, do not hesitate to use it. While you're using that connection of yours, make sure you loop us in. Us being the supplier diversity representative of that organization, it's very important that you loop us in, because we will help you navigate the rest of the way, and also you have an advocate should something go wrong. Okay, so make sure first leverage your relationship, but loop us in and keep us informed as you journey through the corporate organization. Find a mentor. Look for organizations that have a mentor-protege program. See if that can help you. Right now, we have 10 folks we're mentoring. I mean, we have 10 diverse suppliers that we're mentoring. We have this program where we roll 10 in, 10 out, 10 in, 10 out every year. So basically, at the end of this year, we have 10 graduates. And then next year, we're going to be recruiting 10 more proteges to help them grow their businesses. And the aim of that is to prepare them to do business with Wyndham. It's a very robust program. It's a 12-month program. We have our executives involved. The curriculum is so comprehensive and very, very beneficial to the diverse suppliers. In addition to the mentor protege program that we have, we just concluded not too long ago our Supplier Diversity Academy, where we bring in suppliers to meet one-on-one with with our strategic sourcing professionals. And these are selected diverse suppliers that we believe can do some great job for us. We can talk more about that. I'm going to leave my email address with the US PAC so that you guys can stay in contact, or maybe I can send you guys some information about the program. The next one is maintain acceptable credit history. We don't want to be the one to find out that your credit is bad just when you're at the verge of getting a contract. Review your credit history. Before we go into any business with any supplier, we pull the Dun and Bradstreet on each and every supplier. So the worst thing that could happen is just when you're about to get a contract, something pops up in your credit. So make sure you review that credit all the time to make sure that there's nothing in there that's going to disrupt your business opportunity. The next one is relationship. I don't know how much I can stress these facts to diverse suppliers. It's very important that you have relationship first. It's just like anything else in life. If I don't know you too well, chances are we're not going to get along too well. So if you want opportunity, first of all, we have to develop a relationship, a good relationship, so that there could be trust. Trust could be built, and we do business. As you all know, we do business with those people that we know. Not all the time, but most of the time. So relationship is very important. One of the things we come across whenever we send out an RFP is some of our MBEs, which of course, due to their sizes, they don't have the capability. They don't have the capacity. The capability is there, but it's the capacity to embark on, certain size of business. So what we do, or what we've been doing, is encourage joint ventureship amongst diverse suppliers or between diverse suppliers and non-diverse. We have so many good examples that were formed, and it has been very fruitful to some of the diverse suppliers. We have so many good examples of mergers, not mergers, but joint ventureships. That's two companies coming together, to form an organization in order to go after a certain business. It works beautifully. But we have so many examples of those successful stories. And then the other thing is, don't hesitate to dream big. Although I just said that don't bite any more than you can chew, but at the same time, be innovative, dream big. We're here to support you along the way. Finally, seek corporations that have membership in advocacy groups, like what you're doing right now. You're using the US PAC. Here you are listening to how to do business with corporate America through US PAC. There are so many organizations out there, just like US PAC, that you need to leverage. US PAC is a great organization for this. And always, always leverage some of the programs that they offer. Next, please. Now, these are some of the minimum requirements. When you call us to do business with us, we go through some exercise of evaluation. And these are some of the things. These are not written in blood, I may add, but this is something that we think that a company we regard as being stable should be able to have some of these, attributes. Proven financial viability, of course. We want you to be financially stable, and your records must show that, or your history. We need you to have a bandwidth, because I just mentioned that Wyndham has about 7,800 hotels, and these are all distributed all over the country and all over the world. So you may have to peg your geographical bandwidth as to where you can cover. If it's local, or regional, national, international, it's always good to know that, and also for you to know your capability, your strength, and what you can do. We put in here a minimum requirement. It makes sense. We need to know that minimally you've crossed that $1 million goal. It's not written in gold, but it's always good to know that you are financially strong. Minimum $1 million, very minimum to achieve. I know it's probably tough for some organizations that are just beginning, but for organizations that have been in business for 3 or 5 years, I believe that some of them could easily, transcend that spot. And then we always recommend a 3-year history, because anything less than 3 years is no longer a history. It's not a history, but a time along the way. So we always recommend 3 years. Then again, I have to keep repeating, it's not written in stone, depending on what kind of business you're going after. The industry knowledge is very important, that you understand the hospitality industry and that you've done some work in that industry, because that bodes well for your resume. And then whatever you're offering has to be relevant to the solutions at hand. A lot of people, for example, if you manufacture caskets, chances are we're not going to buy from you because it's not relevant to our business. We hope that you have the technical competence to embark on the job, and you're going to be bringing forward some innovative business solutions. Some of the value add, as you can see, your pricing has to be competitive so that you can maybe outbid other competitors. One thing we discover is this: when you bring together so many suppliers to bid on something, chances are a lot of them are going to sharpen their pencils in order to bring additional value to the company. Quality is a given. If your product or service is not of quality, chances are you're not going to be invited back to the table. And finally, on-time delivery. Timing is very important here at Wyndham. As you can see, that we service people, and delivery is one of those crucial elements that we actually want to see in some of the attributes. Next, please. Now, this is very important because these are the opportunities we currently have. So if you offer any of these services or products, it might be a good idea to jot them down and then send me your capability statement. I'll give you some time to kind of digest that for a second before we advance.
Yes, and E2, just to add, we're going to post the PowerPoint slides to the BLS website afterwards so people can retrieve.
Oh, okay, great. So you can advance. These are some of the suppliers that we're currently doing business with. Like the Pacific, I believe we have some Asian American companies like Imtex, AVM. These are companies that have exemplified, that have been shown to demonstrate high quality product and services, and these are all MBEs. Nicholas Earth is one of those companies I mentioned to you. There is a joint ventureship between a minority and a majority firm. The minority firm owns about 51%. And they've grown that business astronomically with us due to the joint ventureship. Next. Now, this is the diverse business community outreach I spoke to you about earlier. I don't know if you can see it, but the organizations represented here that we have relationship with, that we work with, and we support financially at NMSDC, which stands for the National Minority Supplier Development Council, and then we have the NGLCC, National Gay Lesbian Chamber of Commerce, and then the next one there is African American Chamber of Commerce, followed by NAVOBA. That's an advocacy group that caters to the veterans. The MBOC, National Women Business Organization Council, support women's businesses. Then the next one there is WeBank, which is Women Business Enterprise National Council, followed by the National Hispanic Business Group, and then the International Minority Supplier Development. WeConnect is the women enterprise that caters to international women business owners. And then US PAC, of course, you're familiar with that. And then finally, the USHCC. In addition to all these relationships that I just talked to you about, we have other relationships that have some political political nuances to them, like you can see the ones on the right-hand side, the Hispanic Association for Corporate Responsibility, Latina Style Diversity, Inc., National Association of Black Hotel Owners, Operators, and Developers, and finally the Latino Hotel Association. This is just an added tidbit I'd like to share with you. Although we have about 7,800 hotels, but 66% of those hotels are 66% are Asian-owned franchises. That's just awesome. So we always look forward to working with Asian-owned businesses in our program. Next, I think that might be it. Then finally, just as the first speaker had mentioned, if you want to do business with us, this is the site you have to go to. When you register, it doesn't end there. When you register, I implore you guys to follow up with an email to me so that I know you are in there, and also so that I know you're in there and that it comes to my attention immediately. That way, should there be any opportunity at that time, I can easily direct you to the responsible manager. So my message is, once it's completed, once you complete the profile at the site, please send me an email. US PAC has my email and my phone number, so please use it. All right? What else? That should be it, but go ahead, please advance that. Exactly. That's it.
Great.
So if anyone has any question, I'm all ears.
Excellent. Anyone in the audience, please feel free to type in your questions to either speaker. But Itu, I just wanted to start by asking you a question about the complexity of the organization. You started off by showing us the timeshares and the different properties that Wyndham has in their portfolio. Can you talk a little bit more about a business when they come to you? Should they be looking to provide services to across your portfolio, or should they target maybe one property that's local to them? Could you talk a little bit more about how to best approach a new opportunity?
Right. Because most of the hotels are franchisees, what we have done is put a contract in place. It's a national or global contract in place with most of these hotels. So what they do is they subscribe to those contracts we have in place, and that's why we advise we do not advocate you going to each property, because when you do, chances are you may not get the kind of reception that you deserve if you have come through us, a corporate, because it's a corporate that administers the supplier diversity program. Yes, we have those hotels out there, we have those timeshares out there, we have those vacations homes right there. The owners know to use the national contract. So, and the national contract is administered by corporate. And you can use, there are some business opportunities that are not linked to the national contract if the hotel is localized. Say, for example, landscaping. Some of those could be outside of the contract scope. So if you have a relationship with that hotel management, yes, you can approach them. But if it's something like supplying linen for hotels, because of consistency of service and product, that is part of a national contract, which is held by by our corporate. The procurement is centralized, through the corporate office. So that's where I recommend you start with us, the Supplier Diversity Office.
Yeah, that makes sense, and that kind of leads me into the next question I was going to ask, because it seems both speakers had a general, point within the conversation, and that is it's about relationships. And even with corporate America and all the complexities that are around corporate America, it's still at the end of the day about establishing and maintaining relationships, and
Exactly.
especially with the corporate offices that can influence purchasing decisions.
Exactly.
So can you talk a little bit more, maybe give an example of another business that, reached out to you? I know you gave one great example, but do you have any other examples of small firms that came to you, maybe met you at an event, and developed that relationship and hit all those points that you were looking for?
I can talk about a company that came to us with an idea, small but very powerful idea. They supply us with linen, for the hotels. I remember when they got started some years ago, and the idea they came to us with was, branding our pillows, branding pillowcases, branding towels in hotels. I mean, most of the time when you go to a hotel, you just see, some hotel made in, and that's it. That's what you get. But he came with an idea whereby we can brand those hotels so that people, everything they touch in the hotel is branded. Now, when they came to us, from what I understand, some years ago, I wasn't here. I just started working here last year, and we've done some great things since then. They were a small organization. Within a 5-year to 8-year span, we are now doing $40 to $50 million business with them. I mean, this is great. They started from a regional operation. Now they are supplying us some stuff in Europe, as a matter of fact, and they have a manufacturing plant all over the country now, just cranking out some linen and things for us, branded stuff. So that's a good example, going from like 5 million to 40 million in business. There are a few other ones I can talk to you about. The other one is an Asian-owned company that provides us with, soap and some hotel amenities. They're like, when they got started, they were like husband and wife operation. I understand now they're doing some multi-million-dollar business with us. We're talking about, once again, a 5 to 6 year span. Mm-hmm. So it's doable, it's possible. All you need to do is, get in front, in touch with some of us, make sure that your product is something that hospitality industry will be interested in. There are so many things that we buy every year. I just share some of the list with you, and let's see if we can do business.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a couple more minutes here. I want to take some questions from the audience for both speakers. The first question, are there any services where you are significantly impacted and most likely not looking to add suppliers, such as staffing? Sandy?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, E2.
Staffing is one of those areas that it's. I know a lot of people that it's saturated, and we have this MSP program whereby we direct all of our IT and staffing augmentation companies to this MSP. I mean, I can understand the frustration sometimes, but it is what it is, And the other category is promotional items. You know what I mean by promotional items, like plaques, things that companies put their name brands on. That area is also saturated. So those are 2 areas we are not currently looking at the moment.
Okay.
And I would share promotional items as well is pretty saturated for us. And then another area is kind of the broadcasting and production realm. Just because we're very fortunate to have strong relationships with NBC and CBS and Golf Channel and Turner Broadcasting. And that's not to say that there couldn't be tier 2 opportunities with some of those, but I would say we're less active in the broadcasting and production area.
Great.
Yeah, I would like to restate in the IT staffing augmentation, there's saturation there, but in other IT spaces, web design, mobile application is not included in what I just said. So only IT staffing augmentation is where we have the saturation.
Okay, thanks for clarifying. Another question I have is about the MSPs. Can you talk a little bit more about what the MSP is and share some details? One question is, can businesses work through them as secondary partners?
Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, with the MSP, okay, here's how it works. Some years ago, we consolidated our suppliers under one MSP. And the understanding is that with the MSP is that they will be seeding certain amount of the business with small organizations, being the diverse organizations. Sometimes you put a percentage on it, like say maybe 40%. And they understand that because it's in a contract that was signed. So what happens is whenever we come across sales staffing augmentation companies, we direct them to the MSP. MSP is what it call is a service provider. So instead of us working with 100 suppliers, we have this one supplier that manages all those relationships. It works great because every quarter I get reports from the MSP showing the number of diverse suppliers they're working with and the amount spent with them.
Excellent. Sandy,
Yeah,
does PGA of America have something similar?
Aware of that.
Okay. Okay. So we have just 2 minutes here. I'm conscious of everyone's time. I know everyone's busy. So if you have a last question, please please ask it. But what I'd like to do is turn it over to Sandy, maybe for some final thoughts before we sign off.
Oh, thanks so much. I appreciate everyone's time as well. It's a great opportunity for us to share a little bit more about our story as an association as well as the golf industry at large. And love what was said earlier about relationships, because golf at its core, whether you're playing the game or doing business in golf, it is a relationship business. So I would just kind of use that as a halo as you go about developing opportunities within the golf space. Just remember that the relationship side of the game and the business of golf are really important. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sandy. Itu, any last words before we sign off?
Well, the last one would be, we look forward to working with you all. As usual, we support US PAC and their programs, and do not hesitate to leverage the relationship that we have with them. Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you, Itu and Sandy. And again, I just want to stress what they said earlier to all the participants. Please get in touch, update them on what you're doing, make sure that they know about your capabilities, and build that relationship. Don't hesitate to reach out, like Itu said, and make sure that they're aware of what you're doing and what you can do for them. Like Itu shared with the business story, you can propose some new innovative ideas, and that could also get you ahead. So I just saw a question. The contact information, we'll post that to the BLS website. So after the session, go on the US PAC site, search for the BLS series, and this session. We'll post the PowerPoints and the link to the recording as well as the presenter details. So you can find all that and get in touch with them. Before we sign off, if you can see on the screen the next BLS session, it's actually the last one of this calendar year, is called Success Stories, and it will be hosted on Thursday, December 15th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. We encourage everyone to register for this webinar where you'll hear success stories from 2 US PAC members that have gained from becoming certified members of the organization and the various opportunities obtained from corporations with the help of US PAC. So like Itu mentioned, leverage US PAC, leverage your membership with US PAC, and you know, again, build those relationships that'll lead to business. Thank you everyone for participating. We appreciate your time. Thank you to both of the presenters, and we look forward to seeing you at the next session.
Thank you.